player.
And let's start talking about our first match here for the round of 8. It's Elazer going up against Neeb. And if you'd have told me at the end of 2017 that this was going to be a round of 8 match, I wouldn't have believed you. If you think about Neeb winning 3 WCSs in 2017, almost overshadowed by the completion of what Cyril did last year, and then the one other person in 2017 to get a win was Elazer. So this is a fantastic match to open up the round of 8.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, absolutely. And like 3 of the matches in the top 8 right now are also cross-region as well to make it kind of cool, you know?
Yeah.
You got very much the Europe versus NA situation, which actually I think NA's looking damn strong this tournament. But yeah, Neeb, I mean, he's such a household name, you know? Like, he's the one that really boosts the USA back into the ranks. He's the first guy that went to Korea and won at the Kesper Cup 4-0 in the finals against Trap. Like, he's an absolute machine, man.
I do like that little story there, James. Obviously, Neeb winning 3 of the stops that we had in 2017. The one other one was Elazer. It's actually kind of funny because it feels like 2018 was a really bad year for Elazer, right? Because he didn't make it into the global finals.
Sure.
Well, the previous 2 years he did, and he even made top 8 at the global finals, even the top 4 as
4,
well.
yeah.
But then when you go over his results last year, it wasn't that Elazer was terrible. It wasn't that bad. It was round of 8, like we are right now. Round of 8. It's just the last stop of the year went terribly wrong for him, and that's why he didn't have enough points. But obviously, you could say like, hey, is this the first time that Elazer is finally going to make it into a semi-finals again since 2017? Because he saw none of that in 2018.
No, indeed. There is a problem for Elazer in this one. He would say it's an objective one, but for Elazer, he hasn't actually beaten Neeb in tournament play since 2017, and there has been quite a substantial amount of matches since then. However, you know, how do you anticipate this going for him? Do you think he can kind of overcome the hurdle that he has in Neeb, who has his number in a lot of matches?
That's one of the things, right? Like, stylistically, these guys clash. Elazer wants to kill his opponent, and Neeb can do anything. Like, he isn't a Protoss that's well known for super defense or super anything. He's just a very good all-round Protoss. I like to look at him as like a mini stats in a way. Like, he's just very good at everything that he does. But Neeb can definitely have his off days. You know, like those warp prisms flying into the wrong places, oracles flying into the wrong places. I've been like totally wounded by the fact that he can throw very, very hard. But Neeb on Song is a beautiful thing to behold.
And a lot of people are saying that Neeb is kind of on point right now. If you think about a lot of pundits and kind of their opinions moving forwards, and obviously, thank you very much in Twitch chat as well for voting as to who you think is going to be victorious here. Pundits are saying Neeb is on form right now.
And he was the first guy to actually beat Cyril in 2018 for like that long streak right before BlizzCon. I know it didn't mean that much, but still, that's very much saying something. And he's been so consistent for so long.
No, even in this year, Neeb's already had a couple of big victories over the other top Zergs in this tournament. He beat Cyril at WSG again. In that opening match, he also managed to defeat Raynor in the playoffs of that tournament while being down 0-2 turning around. So Neeb, indeed, James, has been on point, and I really feel like that as well. And I feel that if there was no Cyril, instead of just talking about Cyril as much as we do, there's a very good chance that we would have just seen more of 2017, because I really do still believe that you are looking at the second best player outside of Korea, even though he has his ups and he has his downs, but Neeb truly is, in my opinion, still the guy to take out Cyril.
Almost certainly. I mean, and you can make the argument that he is one of the best Protoss players in the world in terms of how deep he went in a GSL, etc., and things like
Top
that.
4,
Very impressive stuff. Anyway, it is time here. We've built it up long enough. Elazer is going to go up against Neeb. Let's head over to the commentary team here for all the action. It's WCS Spring.
Thank you very much, James. We are down here in the arena. It's getting warmed up. The place is already filled and ready because the match is going to start off with a very intense match to kick things off. It's the round of 8. There's no more easy matches. There hasn't really been any for a long while. This tournament has been absolutely stacked, but Neeb and Elazer, a great way to get things started, Todd.
Yeah, and I don't think any of us expected this, but when we looked up the statistics, Neeb has a massive winning record up against Elazer, 10-1 in series lifetime, and I got caught off guard by this, to be honest. I would have thought it'd be way, way closer.
Yeah,
it feels like Neeb just has had Elazer's number in a lot of their previous encounters, almost all of them. On the other hand, though, Neeb had a scrappy series against Bly earlier in the tournament. I think we all remember those crazy games that we saw.
That was definitely a shaky run in there for Neeb in that match, but he did come out on top against the crazy styles, and you know, a 3-1 win-loss ratio. That's pretty good, but 9-1, that is absolutely insane. This is a big challenge for the Polish Zerg player to overcome. The Protoss player from America standing in his way. This is it. We're going to be diving into this series, guys. And down here in the bottom right-hand side, in the blue, representing Ting, it's Neeb.
And his opponent in the northwest, he's already making a spawning pool at 12. It is Elazer. Wants to set up the pace for these games here from game number 1 onwards. Try to catch Neeb off guard with those early Zerglings that he's going to be sending across the map. Probably hoping that Neeb, will try and cut a few corners, maybe not scout, but Neeb did go for the gateway on the low grounds, and he follows this up with the scouts.
Yeah, that is a nice timed scout. Elazer here going for the 12 pool would have been hoping for Neeb to be doing something like a gas first or a Nexus first opening, delaying the scout till after the cybernetics core. But Neeb here, coming in early, sees no hatchery. Is he going to fake it with the drone to make it look like he wants to go for it? He does, and that pulls the probe back down. He pretends he's going for the expansion. But Neeb here, is he going to go in and see those Zerglings? He will, in just a moment's time. He's going to see these Zerglings coming down this ramp. Now, is Neeb still going to commit to that expansion? We'll be finding out in just a moment.
Spoilers, the Zerglings killed the probe, because we're looking at the audience here for a second. So Neeb knows that there's Zerglings coming. He's starting to work on his wall. Second pylon, gateway, and the cyber core as well. So he's going to have a Zealots here blocking this wall off. He's going to get a second one, and then I'm going to guess an Adept can come out pretty quickly and do a ton of damage to those
Yeah, good safe response here from Neeb. A little bit slow on the second pylon because he did not spot this as early as he wanted to, and that is why that second Zealot is quite delayed, but just committing to the wall off, making 100% sure Elazer can't get in there, losing the probe though. Very unfortunate for Neeb. He doesn't have any scouting about the follow-up. He doesn't know if there's gas behind this or not, and that does deny a bit of the information. Neeb here just dancing back and forwards with those Zealots, wanting to make sure he doesn't let the Zerglings slide into his base. He's going to go straight for 2 Adepts after those 2 Zealots, wanting to put on some counter pressure.
Yeah.
And the Nexus does finally go down behind that.
And it's going to be tricky for Elazer to read this perfectly in terms of how many units are going to be counter-attacking here. This might backfire. Like, obviously, he had the right move. He realized this wasn't going to do enough when it got scouted. So he stopped making Zerglings. Oh, actually, the Zergling's getting caught for a second. He lost one here. Can't let that happen.
He's delayed the gas a lot, has Elazer link speed very far away. He's going up to 4 Queens right now, but Neeb is going to be diving across the map. 2 Zealots, 2 Adepts. This is a really frustrating force, and he just wants to force Elazer to build a lot of Zerglings. Elazer, for now, staying very low on that Zergling count. He doesn't want to overcommit to this. He's still trying to continue droning. He wants to build an economic advantage off this pressure opening.
Yeah, and I mean, from Elazer here, he has to get a ton of links and more queens. He's still going into some more drones. Okay, no, he's going to start some more links. He does have the 2 queens here helping with this. But I think the Adepts are going to shade into the main, and he's going to start killing drones left and right.
Yeah, those 2 Adepts in the mineral line, they do just get between the mineral and the gas. The drones unable to get the surface area to surround that. Elazer already losing 4 workers, more going to go down. There's shade there, ready to get those Adepts down to the natural. Even more workers beginning to fall. The drones being forced off the line. Nice spore trick there from Elazer. Can he save the next one? He can't. That's 8 workers that go down. A devastating amount of damage for this early in the game.
It's a disaster, as they say. +1 melee and on the way for Elazer, and Neeb from there. You can expect him to consistently build more probes. He's got a War Prism on the way, so he's going to be able to warp in Adepts across the map and pick them up as he pleases, as he starts on killing more and more drones. Have that extra escape capability with a War Prism.
Elazer's got to be kicking himself for going so low on the defense there. If he just built an extra couple of pairs of Zerglings, he might have been able to shut that down a little bit quicker. But now he's got to claw his way back in that worker count. He's building 5 workers at a time. No 3rd hatchery even started just yet. Upgraded Zerglings are great, but guess what? Link speed's only just started. There's no 3rd hatchery of production. Right now, Elazer's trying to crawl back into this game. And with a Warp Prism already coming across the map, a 2nd Immortal being chrono boosted out. Neeb here, ready to be the one in the driver's seat, applying pressure to the Zerg player.
Yeah, the crit spread's pretty good, but at the end of the day, crit spread can only do so much, right? Like, it doesn't actually kill units. It can help with the engagements. Elazer flying into the main base of Neeb to try and get a scout. On the other side, we got the Adepts checking for the timing on the third base. I'm surprised they're not loading up in the Prism. I would have expected it. Drop them into the natural base.
He's doing the shade in, and he's going to try to pick them up to take them out of there. He actually was surprised to see that the third base wasn't even done. Neeb, I think, starting to realize just how far ahead he is in this game. He saw with this third base, he actually tried to shade in, looking for drones, saw that it was an empty mineral line, and kind of realized, wait a second, my opponent's way further behind than I thought. Neeb's got to feel really good about this situation.
Maybe you thought that he thought it.
he was just shading the Adepts in, showed his hand with the Adept pressure to scout. You never know, Todd. I don't know. I feel like usually there's a bit of inherent logic to Neeb's play, but maybe not today. We'll see. He's going up to 7 gateways. I mean, how do you stop this attack, Todd? That's going to be a ton of units building up here for Neeb. Yeah. That's a crazy amount of production.
Against this army, like, you need a lot of Roachers and Ravagers, but it feels like Elazer might not have the economy for that here. So he goes for a Baning Nest. And maybe the Kree spread can help him. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe it's going to be more important than I thought. Because obviously he's going to get a lot of extra speed if he manages to fight on creep. So Zergling and Banes, with the addition of all the Queens that he's got, he's going to have to do the job here.
Yeah, maybe sniping the Warp Prism might work. If he gets Banelings on the Sentries, that'll work. But the Baneling Nest isn't even done yet. And already we see Zealot Sentries warping in. A couple of Spine Crawlers would definitely help anchor this. But right now, that's a measly number of Zerglings. This is not enough units for Elazer.
Yeah, the force fields are going to be so effective against this kind of army.
Yeah, those Immortals and Sentries coming forward. Beautiful force field, zoning out all of the Zerglings. The Zerglings are unable to take part of this fight. They are trapped behind the hatchery, as are the drones. Both Spine Crawlers go down, and the Zerglings trickling in a few at a time. Devastating push there from Neeb.
Solid map number 1 here. Holds exactly how he should against the Zergling attack. And I'm not sure what Elazer expected exactly to achieve those Zerglings. I feel like maybe he was hoping that Neeb would keep on the scouts, go a little bit on the greedier side of things, cut a few corners, in which case, I mean, if the opponent does a very greedy build and you get in there with those links, then it can be really good for you. But that just wasn't the case there. After the solid hold at the wall, I always knew he was going to be able to counterattack. I didn't think he was going to be able to kill that many drones, to be honest. With the first 2 Adepts as well.
Yeah, Elazer was being a little bit risky there, thinking there wouldn't be 2 Adepts joining the 2 Zealots, relying on the Queens. And whilst the Queens can overpower the Zealot Adept, we saw what happens. The moment the Zerglings are gone, the Adepts have free reign. Their mobility is too much, shading into the mineral lines and doing a lot of damage. I really think that Elazer's mindset going into this is that Neeb is a greedy player. He is a player who likes to cut corners here and there, and you have to try to take advantage of that. So I look at this as Elazer saying, you know what, big map. I've seen Neeb so many times go for the gas first, go for the Nexus first, not scout until much later in the game. And if you get that scenario, this game looks beautiful. The choice of build order from Elazer looks great. This also puts Neeb in the mindset of, okay, my opponent is willing to take some risks, go for some of these aggressive builds. And I think with the winning record, you've got 1 series win to 9 losses as Elazer against Neeb. You've got to take some chances like that. So, you know, it didn't work out in map 1. Neeb went for the scout. The question is, does Elazer keep looking for things like this? Does he keep going for that sort of wild strategy, hoping his opponent doesn't scout?
You might just do a 180 and say, like, well, you're going to scout early in every game now that I've done that, and now I just go on the greedier side of things.
Yeah, hit something later in the game. Maybe mega late game, but even like mid-game timing attacks could be absolutely awesome. We are going to be going into map number 2 here, guys, and over here on the right-hand side in the blue, representing Ting, the American Protoss champion, he is Neeb. And over here on the left-hand side, in the red, the Zerg player, he is Elazer. Trying to time it out there to get the. I'm like, I gotta catch the audience there. Of course, the live commentary coming through in a different language here, in Russian for the audience, but always nice to hear the passion from the crowd for these players. There's been a lot of support for everybody. You know, especially when you get those big champs up on the stage. Cyril always getting a big amount of crowd support. Got absolutely swamped after his matches yesterday for signing autographs and that sort of thing. And both of these players, big mainstays in the WCS circuit. Elazer, of course, one of the biggest finishers in BlizzCon. Before Cyril came along, he was the first foreigner, non-Korean player to make it to a top 4 in a BlizzCon. And
He made
also
top
made it to a
8, then top
quarterfinal.
4 back to back.
Yeah, top 4 and then top 8, right? And back in, actually it was top 8 then top 4. Yeah, it was 2 years in a row. It was actually really good runs.
Yeah. And it was off the back actually of his ZVP as well, mostly. I remember he said he wanted to get Showtime that one year. He got him in the quarterfinals, won, then made it to the top 4. So a very strong player in Zerg versus Protoss once upon a time. Definitely has had his troubles with the matchup here and there, and right now he's a little bit of trouble against a Neeb who just seems extremely solid in the matchup, despite a map loss against Bly earlier. I mean, it could happen to anybody, right?
Yeah, it's interesting because I have seen Neeb still going for Stargate opening quite a bit, and I think Elazer is kind of happy to play against the Stargate opening in a normal game. I think it's really the robo openings that have thrown Elazer into, thrown him through a loop. He's in such a tough position against them. You talk to him and he says he just feels like he can't find the correct answer. Feels very inconsistent. Feels like he's gambling a little bit with his response to those robo first openings because he doesn't know when the Protoss player is going to hit him with the Immortal push. But here we see Neeb's much more trademark play. Adept Stargate. Often going right up to 3 Adepts and being very aggressive with these. But it is a larger map, so there's a lot of space before that pressure gets over to the Zerg side of the map.
Yeah, the Adept gonna get over there in a second here. Maybe wait for the second one to try and shade forward and kill some of these drones. As the Stargate is about to finish, a lot of the time here it's gonna be an Oracle, but occasionally we've seen different stuff. Maybe sometimes like a Phoenix first. But yeah, Oracles are usually the go-to. And no, we do have Phoenix. Yeah. First, he wants to clear out that Overlord, maybe to try and hide something behind this.
Nice Spore Crawler trick at the last second there. But, actually does get out of there and snags the drone kill. Nice pickup. Obviously as well, the main thing there that Neeb was looking for was scouting the main base. He saw that there was only one worker still mining gas. That means there's no fast Nidus Worm, there's no super fast Lair, there's no crazy Baneling bust. Neeb here getting to just progress forwards. His Phoenix can be shutting down this Overlord. The robotics on the way, the extra gateways there on the way behind that, going up to 3 gateways and waiting until this Overlord goes down before the tech is going to drop.
Interesting that he made the 3rd gateway in range for the Overlord to see it. It's almost as if he wanted him to see it. So that behind this, he thinks that, Elazer maybe he's going to panic a little bit, be like, oh, 3 gateways, he's going to attack with Adepts or something like that. But then Neeb would go on the greedier side of things, make more probes, take the gases on the expo, maybe even go for a quick 3rd. Yeah, he's sending a probe on the 3rd base right now.
Yeah, that, of course, extra gateway production makes it much easier to handle that 3rd. A very quick 3rd base down at 4 minutes and 20 seconds. An Oracle and a Phoenix come into the 3rd base. Nice lift on the Phoenix just to delay those Queens a little bit. The drone transfer is in trouble, but good focus fire by Elazer. Only losing 1 drone, 3 drones stacked on top of each other. Neeb was not able to find the focus fire. Ends up wounding 3 of the drones and not sealing the kills on any of them.
Yeah, that was well done by Elazer, getting there on time with the Queens, minimizing those losses. Again, it's the best of 5, so being down 1 map, it's obviously not good, but not as bad as if it was the best of 3 and then you would have only 1 map left for the opponent to win. To close out the series.
That's a lot of Adepts there. No glaives on them, but that's 8 Adepts. And there's even a 3rd Oracle out right now, Todd. Neeb just wanting to pile the aggression onto Elazer here. Elazer's Rotoran's not ready. He doesn't have a Baneling Nest. He's going to have to rely on just Zerglings and Queens to defend this. And we know the problem with that. Those Oracles, if they're able to turn on their laser beams and hold position above the Adepts, they will destroy the Zergling count. It's like holding up a can of bug spray to a cockroach. The Zerglings do not stand their ground in the face of those Oracles.
And there is a lot of Zerglings though. And Queens as well in support here. They've got speed, they're going to get right on top of these Adepts here. There's not going to be any escape for a while. Oracles try to come to the rescue here to these Adepts, but they're all dying so fast.
Yeah, the Oracles were a little bit slow to that. That was actually not well synced up by Neeb. Grabs 2 workers on the tail end of it, keeps his important flyers alive, but a fantastic hold for Elazer. And Neeb there definitely should have cancelled that shade. Overcommitting in. He's up in workers behind at 55 probes for Neeb and a double forge follow-up.
Yeah.
Whoa. That to me says we're going to be seeing a ton of Zealots, a big ground-pounding army, lots of Immortal Zealots, Archons. Of course, the armor upgrades absolutely fantastic for those Zealots in small trades against Zerglings, Roaches, Hydras all over the map. But a Spire, sorry.
Robo Bay. He's going to go for Robo Bay as well. So no Twilight whatsoever here. Neeb, initially, he just made the Stargate, the extra gates, then went for the Robo. And after that, he was like, well, I might need some upgrades, double Forge, and then Robo base. So Twilight, the most delayed building here.
That's a really weird matchup of builds, Todd, isn't it? Immortals coming out, soon to be probably Colossus, but the Spire's already almost finished.
And the Revelation caught it, by the way. So he should be able to know about this, but maybe he didn't check properly, because Neeb's not getting any Phoenixes here right now.
We meet our fate.
Yeah, I wonder if Elazer's going to go into Mutalisk off this or just use this for Corruptors. Twilight Council now does go down. Neeb here in a very interesting position, just adding so many upgrades, so much tech, so much infrastructure down. A single Mutalisk queuing up here for Elazer. And that to me says that's a mind game Mutalisk. I think he wants to get this Mutalisk out to both shut down Warp Prism, but you might want to show it just to the Oracle of the Phoenix. Just give a glimpse of that Mutalisk and try to get an overreaction out of Neeb.
That was close. Yeah, this. I mean, if you look at the production tab and what Neeb's doing, you feel like if Elazer had gone for a bunch of Mutas, they would have been really good. But because Revelation was cast on the Spire, maybe he thinks, well, Neeb knows he's going to get Phoenixes, then I might as well not make any single Mutas. And other than the one to shut down the Warp Prism.
The Oracle does go down in the back corner there, nicely done. Phoenix does start up there for Neeb, so even just seeing a Mutalisk, he does start building Phoenix, and that is always a nice way you can get that reaction out. Blink is on the way, we've got the Colossus extended thermal lance, cannons going down all over the shop. Neeb really just looking to turtle on 3 bases for now, and a big Hydra Bane build up for Elazer. 78 drones to 70 probes. Definitely give Elazer the income advantage here. I feel like his economy is much more well established. However, I feel like we need a Hive here for Elazer to really make sure he's set up for the next stage. With no Infestation Pit even started just yet, I worry for his longevity.
Yeah.
I mean,
maybe he feels like he can't go for that because then he would be attacked before and he wouldn't have enough. He might go into like an old school game, you know, Wings of Liberty, Colossus, Stalkers against Corruptors, Roach Hydra and Corruptor, yeah.
That could be a weird composition, right? Because they're both so close to maxing right now. How many sentries have we got out? We've got quite a few sentries, 5 of them banking up energy. That's a ton of Hydras, and we're going to see a ridiculous number of Banelings added in here. Infestation Pit does start. I think Elazer's going to hit a big timing attack, but I think Colossus Force Field, if Neeb doesn't make any mistakes, like...
And Neeb sees this. He sees the Banelings. All he has to do is fall back and the proper force field.
You do not want to fight off creep. I mean, Elazer can win on creep with a surround, with a flank, but I don't think he can actually break through this army. There's actually not that many force fields in there, only about 6 or 7. Maybe, just maybe, he can crash through this army. Elazer, he wants to commit to it, Todd. He's actually just going to go. His whole army coming in a gigantic spread. And man, oh, there's a few little holes there. That's the last couple of force fields. All the Banelings and Zerglings are gone. The Colossus lasers, though, absolutely devastating. Elazer there, he set up a gigantic flanking surround for if Neeb moved onto the map, but Neeb simply pulled into his expansion, and Elazer's units trickled in there. They clumped up. The force fields were effective. That fight was absolutely disgusting. Neeb about twice as effective there. He does not have a Warp Prism with this army, though. I don't think he wants to commit onto creep. That would be a huge misstep for the Protoss player.
If a single one of those force fields had missed, it would have been a completely different fight, but those Banelings couldn't quite find the connections they needed. And now Elazer is praying that Neeb steps on creep and attacks into him, but Neeb's not going to fall for that. He's just going to pull back, max out, keep working on his economy. He's now on 4 bases. Elazer's taking the 5th, but it's not set up yet.
Yeah, and the Hive's so late, Todd. As I was talking about before, he's stuck on Hydra Bane. And it's not just that. Yeah, Hydra Bane can sometimes win, but these Colossus are so effective. You've got Corruptors, which are an okay unit, but they're not amazing. And one of the big problems here is 2-2 is about to finish versus only melee upgrades. These Hydralisks will get absolutely wrecked by these Stalkers in a head-to-head battle. It's going to be reliant upon Zerglings dealing with the Stalkers. And the problem there for Elazer is, guess what? As long as there's Colossus in the back, Zerglings aren't going to do anything. So Elazer needs to take out those Colossus for his Zerglings to deal with the Stalkers, or he needs to buy time for Broodlords, which deals with everything on the ground. That's a long way away. 4 Colossus, a War Prism, a lot of Stalkers and Sentries here. Neeb with a powerful army. His 2-2 upgrades have kicked in. A massive upgrade advantage for the Protoss player, and he's going to start to edge his way forward. Elazer setting up a large flank on the left-hand side. He needs those Corruptors to do some work here.
Yeah, he sends them in first so that the Stalkers can be attacking. Those Forces are going to start landing. The bottom side of the army of Elazer is not going to be attacking at all, other than for the first few Hydralisks at the front, able to shoot at those units. Elazer trying to hold on, but needs supply still way further ahead here.
Those Colossus doing so much work. And a controlling finish there for Neeb. Didn't really break a sweat in that game. Didn't feel like the early game went too bad there for Elazer, but that composition of Hydra Baneling, great defensively, good at doing run-bys and catching your opponent out of position, not good at breaking a Colossus Stalker Sentry army front on. We saw that you really are just hoping your opponent missteps if you try to engage that front on. Elazer had obviously already committed to so much Hydra Baneling when he realized the situation he was in. He felt he needed to commit and make something work, but it was the wrong choice. And that slow Hive Tech, unfortunately, not giving him any other options. Neeb with a very out there build order, good surprise build order, but now he's 2-0 up in what has looked like a very clean series for the Protoss.
Elazer against Protoss has always looked like he prefers to stay on lair tech rather than going to Hive. He's always been kind of reluctant to do that, and he's not had the most success on Hive tech, let's just say that, compared to guys like Serral or some of these other Zergs. And it seems like that trend is continuing here. So far, he's been more on the aggressive side of things, and against a Protoss as solid as Neeb, it's very, very hard to pull off some of these wins. I mean, even Bly, who's like, you know, the king of these early game attacks and scrappier games, only managed to win a single map against Neeb. The other two were close, but it feels like stylistically even Bly has a better chance against Neeb than Elazer with the way he played in those first 2 games.
Hasn't been working out for the Polish player just yet. He's got another life left over, though. It is 2-0 lead to the Protoss from America. But we're going to be going into map number 3. There is still a chance to turn this series around. This is, of course, the quarterfinals of WCS Spring here in Kiev. And we are going to be launching into that third map down here in the bottom left-hand side. The red Zerg, he is Elazer. And up here in the top right-hand side, in the blue, playing for Ting Gaming, an absolute legend. He is Neeb.
Going for very early scouts here, by the look of things. What is Neeb going to drop down the wall here?
There is, yeah, Elazer wanted to go for the 16 hatch, sees that probe and says, okay, let's just walk over to the third base. There is no way to get that hatchery down. Does poke back with the drone there. Going to delay his hatchery by a few seconds looking for that. He wanted to make sure he wasn't being cannon rushed.
Yeah.
And he is going to take that third. Of course, Neeb here pulled one of his very first probes down, you know, to get this across the map as quickly as he did. And that
what do we
going
say
deny
to
a
the
bit
drone
of mining.
expanding, Pig?
Not today.
That's what it is.
Do you think they feel that epic? Where they're like, yeah, you need to go and like run around in the circle and make sure the drone can't put a hatchery down. The probe's like, yeah, I was born for this. Like, this was my destiny. Oh, man. Neeb's actually going to go core before Nexus. That's interesting. I think double Adept's going to be chrono boosted across this map from Neeb. And going to go for maybe a rather quick Oracle to join up with that as well, is what I would imagine.
Yeah. Everything's going according to plan so far. He perfectly blocked the second hatchery on location, forced an expansion a little bit further away.
Oh, this probe is being so annoying as well. Just trying to occupy those mineral patches temporarily to mess up the AI of Elazer's drones, force them to go mine somewhere else. And this just takes a little bit of efficiency away from Elazer's early game. Maybe knocks 20, 30 minerals off his build order. Nice little bit of opening pressure using that excess EPM. Neeb chrono boosting these adepts across the map. And yeah, they're very early. That Cybercore first, and Neuropugnancy being a small map, that Adept is going to get across the map very quickly. The Robo started super early as well.
And we've seen the magic that Neeb can make happen with just 2 Adepts as well. Always great decision making, always great micro. If you can just get in there one time, even like force a bunch of Spores or Evos and kill a limited amount of drones, that still would be very good for him. Elazer, though, he's got speed on the way. He made a bunch of links. He's going to have to be in position with the Queens.
It's so
And I like that
hard.
he's checking the corner of the map here on the top left as well.
Yeah. The Adept actually there, expecting Elazer's Zerglings to come around for a bit of a scout, is actually waiting for them. But Elazer timing this out, both players clearly knowing each other so well.
And behind
he's
this,
going to
by the
wait
way,
for that.
Crazy good follow-up, I think, for Neeb. He went for the Twilight Council and Robo, so he's going to have so many options in terms of what he wants to follow up this with. Like usually, when you had this kind of build orders, he wasn't necessarily with too quick adepts to try and harass with, but it's a great adjustment to the map, because as you mentioned, it's a shorter rush distance here. Here we go.
He actually cancels the shade there, starts focus firing the Zerglings, now going for the drones, and already taking down 2 of them. Will he get a third? Nice extractor trick there from Elazer, pulling back that weakened drone. Good micro from Elazer. That could have been so much worse for him. Scouts the tech out in the main at the same time. Elazer even seeing the DT Shrine. Elazer is not ready to give up in this series yet. It's been all Neeb so far, but Elazer here with a splendid opening. Yes, he's slightly supply blocked from losing the Overlord, but his Zergling's going to come in. A Stalker on its own can't actually defend against that.
Yeah, the Warp Prism is there, so he could have dropped down a pylon and then dropped that down behind the wall. Very nicely done here by Neeb, who now needs additional gateways. Here they are. It's going to be 3 more in total, so he's going to go up to 4 in order to go for perhaps the double Archon harassment. I gotta say, it doesn't really get any better than this here from Elazer. Minimized the losses against the first 2 adepts, scouted the Dark Shrine perfectly. So he's going straight into a lair to get an Overseer on time for detection.
Yeah, economically it's still not bad for Neeb, but definitely, I mean, when you get your 3rd base forced, your natural forced onto your 3rd location, and then when you see the double adept pressure like that, we've seen games just fall apart from there. So Elazer, I think, making the best of a bad position, but it's only a very small lead, if anything. You can see that Neeb has not missed a beat with his probing behind this. He's still got that worker lead. You'd like the Zerg player to have overtaken the Protoss by now, and we do finally see that happen. Overseer on the way, those DTs, Queens, Zerglings already here. Neeb's got that Prism. It looks like he's going to have to pick up those DTs and get out of there. He's going to wait to the last second, just dropping down the low hit point Dark Templar. Very nicely done here by Neeb.
These drones are like, get out, run! They're coming.
1 worker and a few Zerglings. Not too bad for that first wave.
And now we've got a ton of roaches on the way. I feel like if Elazer wants to, he can just get a million roaches via reconstitution and just go across the map and try and, you know, fight against this army, because there's not going to be any immortals here in a while.
He saw 3 more Zealots attempting to warp in there, and Elazer immediately queued up 12 roaches. So many units on that production tab. Lots of roaches are going to be coming out here for Elazer. He should be able to defend this. But the Archon's getting the focus fire on the drones. A big misstep from Elazer, not pulling those drones out of there. 7 workers going down. You don't want to be taking those losses at this point. Neeb still has the macro follow-up. Neeb is almost never a player who all-ins you. He's always going to hit you with these sharp, ridiculous pressure timings, and it feels like something you've got to overreact to, but you can't. He's got the Forge going up. He's got Immortal production. His 3rd base is finishing as well. Neeb neck and neck with Elazer in workers, slowing down the creep spread here on the south side as well. Doesn't want to take any hits on those Archons for a while because they are regenerating that shield damage right now, but he's going for the main. The Roach is a little bit slow to respond to Queen in the open. Oh, Neeb just continues to find so much damage in this game.
Especially the Queens need to be in position. You need to have at least 2 kind of chasing that Warp Prism and damaging it. So eventually you might be able to... Oh, it's so tempting to just drop and kill the Queen and then the drones. Oh my god, these drones.
Oh, no anti-air left there, and this gives Neeb so much freedom. Elazer has got to be frustrated with this. He did so good in the early defense, but now, 4 Adept swapping, and he can shade into the natural and the 3rd at the same time while the Archons go back into the main. This is absolutely awesome. He's going to hit multiple bases at once. Elazer's just desperately trying to hang on, building more Roaches, more Zerglings, trying to get a melee upgrade. The Archon's distracting, and those Adepts going to dive into the natural expansion. The Archons are a distraction, Todd.
Yeah, and Elazer was ready in the main base. Yeah, still is with the Roaches. The main base is going to be defended easily, but in the natural is where the Adepts could get some damage done. The Archon's trying to get a cancel on the hatchery. Neeb needs to pick up early enough. Wow. Roaches on a counter-attack in Neeb's 3rd base right now. They're gonna get fulfilled.
And this Prism here, there's just not enough queens to really put the fear into Neeb. He's able to continually redrop another 7 worker kills tallied up there. These sentries and zealots deflecting these roaches. We see Neeb here at a 10 worker advantage. His immortal count continuing to grow behind this. He's coming across the map with a good sized force here. Elazer, he's building a ton of roach ravager zergling right now. He's going across the map with a link counter attack as well. I think this is a good choice here. Oh, the Prism's in the open there. Does realize it. He unsieges, pulls it back. But Ling's getting into the natural. The door wide open. Neeb with a massive mistake. And Elazer, quick to capitalize, dives into the base.
Yeah, that one immortal is gonna get cornered here around the natural. Neeb going for the attack here. It feels like he's gonna take a bunch of damage back at home, so he needs to go for the attack because a lot of these links are missing. Instead of the army of Elazer, he traps so many of these Banelings, Ravagers and Roaches here. Neeb with the splits against the Banelings.
Elazer here. I thought he needed to buy more time. I think those force fields just able to trap him and force the engagement a little bit too early. Neeb gets the fight that he needs. He's warping in a few more zealots, those immortals, those archons, that prism, still very powerful, just offering that damage. And there is just so much power. He's not going to be stopped. Not yet. 3-0 there for Neeb. Continuing his dominant streak in head-to-head against Elazer.
Looked absolutely fantastic in that series. Minimized the damage from every single attack from Elazer and just too solid.
Brutal control there. The Protoss player with a fantastic victory. Let's hear from the man himself over on the stage with Smix.
Thank you very much, Pig. Congratulations, Neeb. You're moving forward to that semifinal, and especially after Katowice and WESG ended in the top 8, it must be really, really nice to make it back to that top 4 once again.
Yeah, last year I wasn't doing so great, so to be able to make it far this year, it feels really nice. Like, this whole year has actually been very good for me, even though I don't feel like I'm playing that well, so it's kind of strange, but I really like it anyway, obviously.
And in this series against Elazer, you showed such clean, precise play. And I was looking at your head-to-head score against Elazer, and you've been actually winning a lot. The score something like 10-1, now 11-1. So coming into this series, did you feel a lot of confidence?
Yeah, I think Elazer as a round of 8 opponent is, it's not great, but it's not the worst. It's not like getting Showtime or Cyril or something. And I feel like my style works very well against his style because he plays kind of just aggressive after like a solid early game opening, and I play aggressive in the mid game, so I just counter it before he gets to ever be aggressive. So it always works very well. Like, I always know which builds he's going to do. I always know like how he's going to play generally, so I can kind of shape my play based on that.
And I know you had just mentioned Showtime. It's coming up next. You're going to be playing either him or Special. Coincidentally, I was looking at your history against both of them, and you've played them twice at WCS Valencia, 2 different years, round of 8. It was a really close series both times. It was 3-2 the score. So I feel like it can go either way. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's probably the closest round of 8 match. It's very hard to call because Special is very good, and Showtime's obviously very good too. So he's very solid. And Special's like a Korean Terran kind of, like copying TY and stuff. And I was going to say one more thing. And I forgot about it. I think I would rather play Special just because Showtime is very good and PvP is very strange. Like, if I'm playing well, I'll win PvT more than if I'm playing well and I play PvP. But I think it's very even. It's like 55-45 at the most.
Well, we'll see who you play as. That is, of course, the match coming up next. But for now, congratulations once again on making it to that semifinals.
That's right, our first name to make it to the round of 4. Impressive stuff there by Neeb, basically absolutely destroying Elazer there in that best of 5. Didn't even need any more games than the 3-0 that we saw there from Neeb. Joining me, DeMuslim and Rotterdam. Guys, that was... I'll start with you first, Rotterdam. Neeb just looked fearsome in that game.
He really did. I think kind of a questionable build choice by Elazer in game 1. Maybe hoping that Neeb decides to not scout, right? Like he did in one of those games against Ply, but it's risky to start your best of 5 off. I mean, especially with a 12 pool, especially historically. I mean, it was 10-1. Historically in series between these two. Neeb having 10-1 lead, then putting yourself in a situation where if Neeb scouts, Neeb is so good, he's going to defend it, he's not going to take any damage, and it's not about the 2 Zealots or your late red spend, it's about the 2 Adepts, because if you open up 12 pool, link speed is late, and against certain Protosses you get away with it, because I would lose my Adepts against Queens, and a lot of us donkeys would, but not Neeb. He's going to find openings, and this is the damage. I mean, that's 4, 5, 6 drones. On top of that, of course, Elazer already has no drones, because he starts off with a 12 pool. That is insane. Like, that's the same as an Oracle killing like 12 drones or something. That's game over, man.
Ben?
Yeah, I mean, Neeb did everything right in these games. You know, there was no super flashy play. His micro actually is something that I have to talk about. Like, he is better than any other Protoss, it feels, in the foreign scene when it comes to what he can get done with those 2 Archons and an Immortal. Here, he knew he did enough damage with the 2 Adepts, did a very solid push. Like, all the decisions that Neeb made in this series just felt like the right thing to do.
I mean, this game as well, what I kind of missed a little bit in this game is, if I think back of the glory days of Elazer, right? It's 2017, when I think he was an absolute monster in this matchup as well. He was always harassing mineral lines with Banelings. It was Banes left, right, and center, couple Banes here, couple Banes there. And even if he doesn't get 15 probes, if you get 4 or 5 a couple of times, you drag the game out. This game obviously came down to that massive fight on the left side of Neeb's main, Neeb's fort base, and Neeb just dropped some perfect force fields. But in the old school days, I really feel that Elazer during this, think of a couple of Banelings in the 3rd base, or a Baneling drop into the main base. Alex is simply too good to, you know, expect a Ling Bane Hydra army off creep to just roll into Colossus Sentry Stalker. Like what Neeb did there is not easy, but that's why he's Neeb, okay? He is going to defend it because Neeb is so freaking good.
Yeah, his force fields were just like super on point this whole game. I mean, this is a crazy flank by Elazer, and he tried to get something done. But look at this, there's just so much Neeb. He's got superior upgrades too, went 2-2, double forge style. Colossus is a little unusual, I suppose, but it's super good if you can pull it off, especially against Hydras.
It's a superior upgrades with a superior army, right? Because there is no real answer here against these Colossus. Yes, there were a couple of Corruptors coming in here and there, but there are so many Stalkers with Blink, with those upgrades, it's simply not good enough. And I mean, game 3 was kind of a train wreck of a game for Elazer as well. He just lost a lot of Zerglings in the beginning against the DTs, but look at these 2 Archons. If you have this many Roaches, if you have Queens, that's 7, 8 drones going down. This is a small map, man. Neeb is going to punish you for it. That's few more. It's simply too much damage. I mean, that's what it is. We know that Elazer is not happy with this matchup. Objectively imbalanced are the words that he used earlier this weekend. And maybe that was kind of getting to him as well, because we know that Elazer absolutely has the skill to push Neeb and make it a close series, but this wasn't one of them.
This was just like a massive clash of styles though, right? Like, Elazer's a guy that really hones in on timings, wants to like take advantage of weak spots in his opponent, and it felt like Neeb didn't really have any of that. But also, Neeb's ability to just slow down Elazer and throw him off track at the start of the game with just little skirmishes here and there, be it the Warp Prism, be it the Adepts early on. Elazer never really got to get going and never really got to play his game, and that's something that Neeb can make you do. He can make you feel uncomfortable and make you react to him as opposed to the other way around.
And there we have it. Neeb has found himself into the round of 4 there. Unfortunately for Elazer, he is done for the tournament. There is no lower bracket or anything like that here.
Knockout bracket round 2? No?
It's like, well, please, yes. No, that's not how that's going. And Neeb has made himself to the top 4, which guarantees himself at least $6,000 to his name. And he's going to wait to face off against the opponent of either Special or Showtime. Another great fixture to then move into another great fixture. It just keeps on going.
Yeah, there's so much history, right? We can go over storylines. I know you love storylines, James, but I think the one WCS that Neeb did not win, Valencia back then, right, in 2017, the one that Elazer won, he did end up losing against Special in that tournament. So that you have that little story, and I think Showtime against Neeb is always special, especially for the Protoss fans out there, of course, because Showtime has been the European Protoss for years now. I really don't think there's much argument about that. And then, obviously, the American Protoss is Neeb. So for me, that's always kind of a special matchup, and I love seeing those two clash.
I mean, we were saying, whilst the interview was going on, obviously Neeb saying that he would rather play Special than Showtime. We start reminiscing about when Showtime played Neeb in those old PvPs in Shanghai, I believe it was. Some of the best games, some of the best PvPs we've ever seen. It was phenomenal stuff.
Yeah, and also I'm really looking forward, by the way, to Special versus Showtime, because that is the best Terran in the NA scene, like by far up and away, against the best European Protoss. Also a clash of like NA versus EU. And again, I think NA has a pretty good shot. Like Special just came out of a group in GSL where he beat SOS twice. I mean, you don't do that because you're like getting lucky or whatever. He held that aggression super duper well, and Special's looking equally strong.
That is a really good point, but if there is one Protoss that I would never compare to SOS, it's probably Showtime, right? Like, it's a complete clash of styles as well. But I'm with you, man. That's just a very juicy looking matchup on paper. And yeah, I mean, it is round 2 of Europe vs NA. Now, Neeb winning, I don't think is a shock, but if Special takes out Showtime as well, the Americans definitely have something to be pretty proud of.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to actually get onto that match in a few moments' time here, so I'm just waiting for full confirmation as to when that starts and when that does start going down, of course, here. But with Neeb finding himself in the round of 4 now, aside from if it's Special or a Showtime, who you if Neeb were to move on to the grand final, of course, aside from Serral, who else would he be kind of fearful of down towards that lower bracket?
Well, yeah, I mean, you gotta like think about the Neeb Serral Dream final. Like, they really would be. I mean, they are really number 1 and 2 in my eyes in the foreign scene. But you can't knock out Raynor. I mean, or you can't. Talk about Raynor in a bad light. He's also very scary. At WESG, they actually played right, and Raynor was 2-0 up.
Was winning game 3, by the way, very badly.
Yeah. And then Neeb pulled it back 3-2. So those guys got a little bit of history too. I mean, Goblin is the big, he's the big underdog here in the top 8. And I mean, he's been doing really well, man. And you can't forget about Time either.
Yeah, truly the wild card, I think, is fair to say.
I'm with Ben there, though. Like, Neeb against Serral is always my dream final, and it's kind of funny because since they have both been absolutely unstoppable, they have never met in a final. Of course, they did play in the Yon Chopping final in 2017, but back then Serral was not the Serral yet that he is right now, even though he was really good already. And a lot of people thought he was the best player perhaps in the tournament. That was still Neeb's year, but when it was Serral's year, they actually never clashed in the final. So people always talk about, you know, the Serral against Maru dream final of a big international event. When it comes to the WCS circuit stories, Neeb against Serral is the final that I feel people do deserve.
Well, Neeb won WCS, like, he's the NA champ, right? So him going up, or in fact, Raynor, I guess, is the European champ technically. But Neeb, he's always the NA champ, man. So seeing him go up against the best European, it would be so sick.
All right, let's